What if the biggest mistake in your garden is something you've been repeating every single year without even realizing it? Every season, it starts the same way. You clear the soil, you buy new seeds, you plant carefully, hoping this time it will be better. And for a while, it works. Things grow, leaves appear, food begins to take shape. Then harvest comes, and just like that, it's over. The plants die, the soil is left exposed, and the entire process resets again and again and again. It feels normal, almost like gardening is supposed to be this way. But what if that cycle is the very thing holding you back? Because hidden beneath traditional gardening is a completely different system, one that most people overlook. Not plants that live fast and die young, but plants that return, plants that multiply, plants that keep producing long after you stop replanting. And here's the part most people never realize. The longer these plants stay in your garden, the stronger they become. Deeper roots, better resilience, higher yields. While others are starting over every year, these plants are already established, already working, already producing more with less effort. This isn't about working harder in your garden, it's about choosing plants that work for you over time. Imagine walking into your garden and instead of starting from scratch, everything is already alive and growing. You're not planting, you're harvesting. You're not rebuilding, you're maintaining. Food is no longer something you chase every season. It becomes something that quietly accumulates in the background. This is the power of perennial crops and self-renewing plants. Some regrow from their roots after every harvest. Some spread underground, creating new plants without any extra effort. Some produce for decades, becoming more productive each year. Over time, these plants don't just give you food, they build a system that reduces work, saves money, protects your soil, and most importantly, gives you consistency. Because real abundance isn't about one big harvest, it's about reliable food year after year. And once you understand this shift, your entire garden changes. Start with sweet potatoes, a plant most people completely underestimate. To many, it's just a seasonal crop, something you plant, harvest, and forget. But under the right conditions, sweet potatoes behave very differently. They don't just grow, they spread. Their vines stretch across the ground, creating a dense living cover that protects the soil, locks in moisture, and naturally suppresses weeds. Instead of fighting your garden, they start working with it. Beneath the surface, tubers develop quietly, storing energy and nutrients, while above ground, the plant continues to expand. And here's where it gets interesting. You're not limited to one harvest. The leaves themselves are edible. Tender, slightly sweet, and packed with nutrients like iron and calcium. This means one plant gives you two completely different food sources at the same time. While most crops give you a single moment of harvest, sweet potatoes give you a continuous stream. With loose, well-draining soil and consistent watering, they thrive in a wide range of environments, especially warm climates. And if you leave even small pieces behind in the soil, they can regrow the next season. Over time, one planting can turn into many without you even trying. The more you let them establish, the more they give back, turning your garden floor into a living, productive system that quietly feeds you. Then there's asparagus, one of the most powerful long-term crops you can plant. Unlike most vegetables that demand constant attention, asparagus asks for patience up front and rewards you for years. When you plant asparagus, you're not planting for this season, you're planting for the next decade, sometimes even longer. It grows from crowns that settle deep into the soil, building a strong root system that becomes more productive over time. The first year or two, you wait. Nothing impressive happens, and this is where most people would give up. But if you hold on, everything changes. Once established, asparagus sends up tender shoots every spring, often before other crops are even ready. It becomes one of the earliest signals that your garden is alive again. And year after year, those shoots return, often stronger and more abundant than before. What makes asparagus even more valuable is what happens after harvest. The plant grows tall, feathery foliage that shades the soil, reduces moisture loss, and naturally suppresses weeds. It becomes both a food source and a protective system for your garden. Nutritionally, it's packed with vitamins and antioxidants, but its real power is consistency. You plant it once and it keeps showing up. With proper care, it can produce for 20 years or more, quietly becoming one of the most reliable food sources you have.
Rhubarb takes a different approach, but the result is just as powerful. It's a plant that thrives on neglect, returning every year with minimal effort. Once established, its thick stalks push through the soil each spring, fueled by deep roots that store energy through winter. This stored energy is what makes rhubarb so resilient. While other plants struggle to restart each season, rhubarb is already prepared. It doesn't need to rebuild, it simply continues. The stalks are tart, versatile, perfect for both sweet and savory dishes, and they keep coming back year after year. But there's something important here that makes rhubarb different. It teaches you awareness. The leaves are toxic, while the stalks are edible, forcing you to understand the plant, not just use it. And in that process, gardening becomes more than just growing food, it becomes learning. Over time, rhubarb patches expand, their roots strengthening the soil structure and improving conditions for nearby plants. With sunlight, good drainage, and a bit of patience, one planting can last 15 to 20 years. And if you divide the crowns every few years, you don't just maintain the plant, you multiply it, turning one into many without buying anything new. Jerusalem artichokes take the idea of self-expansion to another level. Once planted, they don't just grow, they spread aggressively underground, creating a network of tubers that can quickly fill a space. For some gardeners, this might sound like a problem, but if managed correctly, it becomes one of the most productive systems you can have. Above ground, they grow tall, almost like sunflowers, creating natural shade and even acting as a windbreak. Below ground, they quietly multiply, producing more food each season without any extra effort. What makes them unique is their flexibility. You don't have to harvest everything at once. The tubers can stay in the soil through winter, allowing you to harvest whenever you need them. This turns your garden into a living storage system. Nutritionally, they're rich in inulin, a type of fiber that supports gut health and stabilizes blood sugar. But their real strength is independence. They require very little care, resist pests, tolerate drought, and keep producing year after year. With simple containment, one planting can become a long-term, self-sustaining food source that grows quietly beneath your feet. Ginger introduces a completely different rhythm to the garden. Instead of growing above ground, its true value lies hidden below the surface in its rhizomes. Once planted, these underground structures store energy and expand slowly, allowing the plant to regenerate continuously. Unlike traditional crops, you don't need to harvest everything at once. You can cut small pieces as needed, leaving the rest to keep growing. This transforms harvesting from a single event into an ongoing process. Ginger thrives in warm, humid environments, but it's also incredibly adaptable, growing well in containers and partial shade. This makes it accessible even in smaller spaces or less than ideal conditions. Over time, the rhizomes multiply, turning one plant into a cluster, then into a system. And beyond its culinary uses, ginger offers medicinal benefits, supporting digestion, reducing inflammation, and strengthening immunity. It's not just a spice, it's a long-term asset. With minimal care, consistent moisture, and nutrient-rich soil, ginger becomes one of those plants that quietly expands, giving you more every year without demanding more in return. Horseradish follows a similar pattern, but with a much more aggressive personality.
Once planted, it establishes itself deeply and becomes incredibly difficult to remove, which is exactly what makes it so valuable. Its roots grow thick and strong, and even small pieces left in the soil can regenerate into new plants. This means you never truly run out. You can harvest what you need, and the plant will continue to come back. Its sharp, pungent flavor comes from natural compounds that also act as pest deterrents, protecting not only itself, but nearby plants as well. In this way, horseradish becomes both a food source and a defensive system in your garden. It thrives in a wide range of conditions, requires minimal maintenance, and can produce for many years. The key is control. Give it its own space, and it will reward you with a continuous supply of roots that are as resilient as they are useful. Mulberry trees take everything to a different scale. Instead of thinking in terms of seasons, you start thinking in decades. Once established, a single mulberry tree can produce massive amounts of fruit every year with very little effort. It becomes a permanent feature in your garden, a source of shade, food, and life. Birds and pollinators are drawn to it, creating a small ecosystem that benefits everything around it. The berries themselves are rich, sweet, and incredibly versatile, eaten fresh, dried, or turned into preserves. But the real power of a mulberry tree is consistency. Year after year it produces, often increasing its yield as it matures. It doesn't require constant attention, just occasional pruning and basic care. Over time, it shifts your mindset. You're no longer planting for immediate results. You're investing in something that grows stronger and more productive with age. Tree collards continue this idea, but bring it back to daily harvests. Unlike regular kale, which lives fast and dies within a season, tree collards develop a woody structure that allows them to produce leaves continuously for years. You're not waiting for a single harvest, you're harvesting whenever you need. The plant keeps growing, sending out new leaves as older ones are picked. This creates a constant supply of fresh greens with almost no interruption. They tolerate drought, resist cold, and adapt to different environments, making them incredibly reliable. Nutritionally, they're dense with vitamins and minerals, supporting long-term health. And, like many perennial plants, they can be propagated easily from cuttings. One plant can turn into many, expanding your garden without additional cost. Over time, they become a living pantry, always there, always producing. Finally, blueberries bring everything together with one key advantage: they improve with time. When you first plant them, the harvest is small, sometimes barely noticeable. But as the bushes mature, everything changes. The berries become larger, sweeter, more abundant. Their roots establish deeply, making them more resilient and less dependent on constant care. They thrive in acidic soil, and with proper mulching, they create their own stable environment. Year after year, they produce more, not less. This is the opposite of most systems, where productivity declines over time. With blueberries, patience is rewarded. And when you plant multiple varieties, pollination improves, yields increase, and the system becomes even stronger. What starts as a small addition to your garden can turn into a major food source that returns every season without fail. By now, the pattern is clear. These plants are not just individual crops, they are pieces of a larger system. A system that reduces effort, increases reliability, and builds over time. While traditional gardening resets every season, this approach compounds. Each year, the garden becomes more established, more productive, more self-sufficient. The work you put in today doesn't disappear, it accumulates, and that changes everything. Because real abundance isn't about working harder every year. It's about making choices that continue to pay off long after you've made them. Even starting with one or two of these plants can shift the way your garden functions. Over time, those small decisions grow into something much bigger. A garden that feeds you consistently, supports itself, and becomes stronger with every passing season. Nature doesn't rush, but it rewards patience. And when you plant wisely, you're not just growing food, you're building something that lasts.